Members of the board, I would call James Schmitz as our next witness. Would you please state your name and your job, please, sir?
Jim Schmitz. I'm the fleet manager for the City of Reading.
How long have you held that position?
Almost 2 years.
And how many vehicles are under your direction?
A little over 805.
And in what, are they in separate divisions?
Yes. It's broke into about 12 divisions, but our two major divisions is solid waste and electric. They pretty much make up most of the fleet.
I'm sorry. And are you over those two?
Yes.
I want to ask you what your experience has been with, well, first of all, are any of your vehicles retrofitted with the exhaust filter that we're talking about?
Yes, there are. We, out of the little over 800 pieces of equipment, approximately 640 or 689 of them are actually rolling stock. Out of the 689, we have 114 pieces with DPFs. Out of the 114, we have 90 that are still retrofitted.
And can you tell us what experience you've had with those trucks that have been retrofitted?
A lot of our issues that we've had with the retrofit is actually having the filters having to be cleaned, downtime, and of course the cost of either having to purchase another filter or having the downtime of the vehicle, which affects cost and or, you know, service to the community.
Do you have any estimate or guesstimate of how long one of your vehicles is in downtime when you have to clean and replace that filter?
Whenever we have a filter down, it usually takes approximately 2 to 2.5 days. If all it is being cleaned, it takes about 12 hours for them to burn it out. So we usually try to pull them out first thing in the morning. Whoever we send it to, the vendor we send it to burns it out. We usually have it back by the next morning or afternoon where we reinstall it. So the vehicle is down for 2 days.
And you don't burn those filters, you don't burn them clean yourself, do you?
No, sir.
Are you restricted from that?
No, sir.
Okay, you take them to a shop that's certified to do it?
That's correct.
And what's the cost of each of those?
Depending where you send it and the size of the filter, but it can range anywhere from $300 to $700.
Okay. If you were to replace those vehicles now and get vehicles with original part filters, what would the cost be to the city?
Wow. I mean, you're looking at probably a little over $325,000 for a solid waste vehicle, and to replace the ones that we have retrofitted, so you'd be looking at $325,000 times at least 20.
Okay. On the vehicles that are not retrofitted, what experience do you have with them as to a vehicle operation?
Those are actually running pretty good. They regen on their own, and or we can reforce the regen with software.
Have you had any problems with overheating of engines from those that regenerate themselves?
Not on the regens, but we have had problems with the retrofits.
Can you describe those problems for me?
A lot of problems we usually have is if we've lost an injector or an aftercooler, it'll plug that DPF up, and once it's plugged the DPF, it's throwing back pressure into the engine, which then of course causes the engine to overheat, which will then shut down the vehicle, which again is kind of a safety issue. If you're, couple of our vehicles that have the retrofits on them are the vehicles that run from Viking or the Corp Yard up to the county waste facility. So I mean, we're talking if engine throws a check engine light and starts to shut down, sometimes it has occurred with them either going up the mountain or coming down the mountain.
And what has been the impact, if any, on the driver of those trucks when they overheat like that?
They're just sat down, and then we try to figure out another vehicle for them to get into to continue the route and try to, you know, serve the public the best we can.
Are you in charge of scheduling the trucks?
I am not.
Do you have someone under you who does that?
I am not. That's done by each of the departments.
Okay.
My main responsibility is just to make sure they're all running.
Are you glad you're not in charge of scheduling with
Yes.
the problems you have? What impact has the regulation had on your budget?
Well, just like in 2014, we had to have 90 filters cleaned. During that 90 filters cleaned, it's cost us approximately, and between cleanings and actually replacing the filters, in 2014 we spent $93,000 in replacements and or cleaning, which comes down to about $7,200 of my labor time for a mechanic, which is, if you figure it out, it's about $102,000, which is about 10% of my budget. The truck downtime is probably where it becomes a little more costly, because like solid waste truck, we've got a figure, we figure that it's about $110 an hour that every time a solid waste truck is down, and it's about $314 for every time we have a line truck or a bucket truck down. And like I said before, those are pretty much our two, highest rated vehicles that have DPFs on them. So if you combine the 16 hours of downtime times 90 cleanings, it comes down to almost $500,000 worth of downtime that we've spent with the vehicles that we've had down.
And if you were to ask the city for the budget necessary to run as you would like to run, how much would you have to be asking for in view of the problems you have with those filters?
It would be nice to have at least 2 more technicians. Right now, out of the 800 and some pieces of equipment we do have, I have 8 technicians trying to take care of over 800 pieces of equipment. It'd be nice to increase that by at least 1 technician to be able to just handle CARB situations, because, the filter being plugged is the after problem. It's not, what is the real problem. So, I mean, you've got diagnostic time of injectors, aftercoolers, EGR valves plugging, anything of that nature. It's also cost us to where what now, when you had an injector go bad, you thought, well, I'll just change the 1 injector. Now you're changing all 6 injectors just to make sure that you keeping everything cleaned. And, I don't know if, like an injector, you're looking at $1,300 because everything's electronically driven anymore. So, I mean, by the time you're done doing a real tune-up on a vehicle now, you're up around $7,000, $8,000 just in parts.
If you have 8 mechanics and 800 vehicles, with the time that you're down, you can almost say that it takes a month for those mechanics to take care of the problems.
Correct.
With
Yeah, it breaks down to a little bit over about 6 weeks of time just in 2014 that we dealt with CARB issues, and that is not adding in, injectors, anything to the troubleshooting time. This is just removing the particulate filter, installing the particulate filter, and the labor to that.
When I spoke with you before, you had a percentage in mind that you would have to ask for if you were just to stay where you are now, increase in your budget. What was that percentage?
It was about 20%.
Is there anything else that you know about the situation that we didn't talk about before or haven't talked about today that you want to add?
The things that, of course, the ultimate goal is to try to rid CARB, the ultimate goal. But, there's a few issues to where if CARB would kind of maybe make some leniencies or whatever would really help. One is we had, out of the 90 retrofits we still have 30 that belong to the C.A.R.B product. C.A.R.B went out of business, now being ran by ECW. Out of those 30, we have 20 that they call a passive unit, which means you have to have an exhaust temperature of over 450 degrees to burn the carbons out of it. Well, when most of these vehicles are in your solid waste fleet and your solid waste truck is running 5 feet and stopping, 5 feet and stopping, you're never getting an exhaust temperature over 450 degrees, so they're always getting plugged up. When I first became the fleet manager of the city, I sent a letter to CARB wanting some kind of assistance because they were data logged. These vehicles are data logged. That data log information goes to a filter manufacturer and a CARB, and they agree upon which filter or what unit should be put on these. Well, in my mind, when these vehicles that have the passive units were data logged, they were data logged wrong, and somehow somebody should assist in us to be able to correct those 20 problems, because there's no way we're going to be able to go in front of the city council and say, hey, we need $350,000 times 20 because we need to fix these problems. I did make a phone call to the fleet manager at the City of Paradise. They talked to CARB, and they were allowed to put what they call a hollow unit on it, because the long mile, which is made by CARB, or by Clear, I'm sorry, they knew they had the problem. So the City of Paradise actually got a letter and are running most of their solid waste trucks with this hollow unit that doesn't have a filter in it, which stops, you know, all the problems and stuff that we do have. What's that? So that's one thing, you know, that I would like to see. The second thing is all your DPFs are registered and licensed to that vehicle. So if you do have a vehicle down, it's not like you can just go to the shelf and put another one in. You have to wait for that to come back. So if we were able to not have the DPFs licensed to that vehicle, it would definitely save the $500,000 of downtime that we have and response time to the community to be able to actually pick up their garbage and or fix any electric issues they have. The third thing that we have is we have two trucks for sure that we're aware of in the electric department that have very low usage, but it doesn't meet CARB's low use, which is 250 hours or 100 miles. These two vehicles both cost a little over $400,000. What we'd like to see is for them to make another tier, if there is going to be a tier, to make it called an intermittent vehicle and raise it to 500 miles and or 5,000 miles, which some of these vehicles could fall in between, to where we wouldn't have to either do a DPF replacement and or have to do something with these vehicles to replace them. And so that's kind of where
Did you get any response from CARB?
No. Well, actually, they did come out and they did do a opacity readings on all of our solid waste vehicles, and that was done February 11th of 2014, and I have never gotten the report back from them on what they found or if they were going to allow me to put the hollow units in some of them solid waste vehicles.
So if CARB had coordinated with your city council and with you present, and they could have come to some consistency with your suggestions, how much would it save the city?
Probably close to $700,000, if not a little more.
Okay.
And that, like I said, all my figures are from 2014. So I mean, if you know, I don't know what 2013 or 15 would be.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.